Hey, it's another Football Friday night. We were 4 for 4 last week. Two Section 3 teams in the area, two Section 10 teams playing against Section 7. All four of them won.
The Final Four.
The Final Four, yeah. Let's begin with Indian River, the Wolves repeating as Section 3 champions. I thought New Hartford, and they did give them a great game. I mean, it went into overtime. I thought I wouldn't be surprised if New Hartford would have came out with the win. Indian River, though, once again, pulling another victory out in an important contest.
It was a great game right from the start. Indian River playing from behind in a lot of that contest. Tied it up late in the fourth quarter. Then the game goes to overtime. Indian River gets the ball first. They score on a 1-yard touchdown run. They go for two. Ariel Raymond fumbles the ball. It's recovered by one of the offensive linemen in the end zone, Trevor Shawcross's brother, Bruce. They go up 34-26, and then on the first play that New Hartford has the ball, Trevor Shawcross comes up with the pick, and the game is over. And, yeah, like you said, it was just like last year, Indian River winning on a 2-point conversion in regulation. This year, winning it in overtime. And I'll tell you what, they're playing some great football right now.
They really are. And you wonder, you win a championship. And now you play in the States, and you wonder if there's any sort of a letdown. I mean, you really accomplished what you wanted to accomplish,
right?
And that was win a Section 3 title. Do you think there's a little bit of a,
anything after this is icing on the cake type of thing? Maybe a little bit, but I think Corey Marcel's going to have them focused for the game on Saturday at Cicero North Syracuse High School, because the Warriors looking to get back to the Dome for the state championship game. And they won a state championship. I believe they just celebrated the 10th anniversary of their state championship. So wouldn't that be nice if 10 years later they come home with another state championship? But it's going to be tough. I'll tell you what, Class B in the state, one of the toughest classes.
And you were telling me before we went on air that they're expecting rain on Saturday. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff at Cicero North Syracuse, and temperature about 40 degrees, a raw afternoon at Cicero North Syracuse. It'll be interesting. Plus, they play a very good team in Maine Endwell.
And that should work in Indian River's favor, the weather, because I don't know if Maine Endwell's a throwing team or not, but Indian River mostly a run-oriented team. They do pass a little bit. The weather conditions on Saturday, teams are going to have to run the football, and that should give Indian River an advantage in that area.
Well, Maine Endwell, the opposition, and Indian River hoping that it ends well for them Saturday. Before that 3 o'clock game, noon kickoff Saturday, General Brown, coming off a Section 3 Class C title win, will take on, I think it's Shenango Forks, at high noon Saturday at Cicero North Syracuse. Your thoughts about that game?
Let's talk first about the game at the Dome where they won the Section 3 Class C championship. They kicked off to open the game, recovered an onside kick. They recovered 3 onside kicks. They scored 13 points off the onside kicks, and they had the ball for all but 50-something seconds of the first quarter. For the first 11 minutes and 10 seconds, General Brown had possession of the football. So they dominated that game from the start, and Doug Black said that was exactly what he wanted to do to, kind of put the pressure on the other team. And, he said, more possessions we have, that's less time that they have the football in their hands. And, Hayden Moody scored a couple of touchdowns in that contest. Great game. And, General Brown's playing absolutely phenomenal football right now.
Yeah, and it's not like they haven't had practice at recovering onside kicks, because they've done it all year long.
And the opposition's got to know what's coming.
They have to know what's coming. If you've scouted the Lions at all, there's going to be an onside kick. But they do such a good job of changing direction of the onside kick. Occasionally having somebody else, maybe kick the ball.
Football. Yep.
So I mean, they do a great job of disguising it. It's coming, but they're still very successful at recovering them.
And, this was a defensive game at the Dome on Friday, 19-6. Yeah. The first time these two teams met, it was 50-48.
Yeah, it was.
It was a total polar opposite of the first game when they met. But General Brown coming out with the win both times.
Yeah, and it's strange because Bishop Lutton was hovering around the 500 mark this year. It wasn't like they were gangbusters out there on the gridiron, but they were able to pull it out, which I think, as a matter of fact, this is Doug Black right now. Hi, Doug. How you doing? Doug, nice to... Yep, I'll talk to you in a little bit.
He liked what we were saying about him so much he had to call.
He's wondering if we're doing the story on the Lions, and yes, we are. So there you go. There you go. That's at noon on Saturday at Cicero, North Syracuse. Indian River follows. A great doubleheader for fans of either the Wolves or the Lions. Get down there, support the team, and enjoy some football Saturday afternoon there.
Yeah, it should be a couple great games.
All righty, we move to Section 10. Both of these games are Friday night. OFA in action. They defeated Beekmantown last week in that Section 10-7 matchup, which they have every year,
right,
against Section 7.
Don't they call it the North Country Super Bowl?
North Country Super Bowl is correct, yeah, and it's always a lead-in, if you will, into state play.
Yeah.
And OFA, with the one loss this year to Potsdam, has looked great since then, and defeated Potsdam to give them a little bit of payback later in the season.
Yep.
And now they play once again close to home this Saturday in Potsdam.
Yeah, they're playing at Potsdam against Glens Falls of Section 2, and that should be a good contest as well. We keep saying this every week, but Matt Tessmer has his team prepared every single game, as does Sean Devlin, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But OFA should be ready. Glens Falls is going to be a formidable opponent, but the key, they don't have to travel as far. Glens Falls has to come all the way to Potsdam to play that game. So that's one thing that OFA has on their side and an advantage for them.
Yeah, and OFA goes into the game with just the one loss. Glens Falls undefeated. So the representative from Section 2 is going to be a very tough opponent for the Blue Devils.
Absolutely. And then Governor, as we said, the last team.
Yep. There are on the road that they have to travel a little bit. Governor in action against Schuylerville. That game will be at Shenendahowa, if you will, coming up at 4 o'clock Friday afternoon. And your thoughts about the Wildcats, who have had sort of a roller coaster season, but hey, they're back in state play.
Yeah, and you know what? They didn't miss a beat. They beat Saranac Central 27-16 on Friday night. That game was at Plattsburgh High School, and they looked very good in doing it as well. So, this is a young team. This Governor Wildcat team is a young team. I believe they just have a handful of seniors. So, things looking good for them. No matter what happens in state play this year, the future's bright for Governor football. There's no rebuilding there. It's just reloading.
Let's not forget 8-man football. There's still a team in action. Tupper Lake taking on Trumansburg at Moravia High School. That happens on Friday night, so it'll be interesting to see.
Congratulations to the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, doing a great job this year, and they have been a great opponent for any team that they've played this year. They've had a lot of success on the gridiron and continue to have success as the postseason rolls along. Let's talk a little college football Saturday, high noon, a matchup of two 7-3 teams, although I would say probably Syracuse has had the tougher schedule because of their conference opponents. And that game, high noon at the Dome, and your thoughts about the Orange and the Huskies going at it this Saturday.
An old Big East rivalry.
Yeah, it really is.
And you know what? Syracuse coming off a big road win, traveling cross country and beating Cal, which that was a great win for them. Syracuse looking good. Held on at the end. It got a little close at the end. But, the Orange at 7-3, if they can pick up a win against UConn to move to 8-3, that's going to set up a pretty nice matchup the following week against Miami at the Dome.
At the Dome, 3:30 kickoff on the 30th. And will it be a story of looking ahead to that matchup with Miami,
exactly,
and maybe overlooking a Husky team that wouldn't love to do anything better than to knock off the Orange on Senior Day under the Big Top.
Right, and you know what? UConn led by Jim Mora Jr.
Yeah.
Not playoffs, Jim Mora.
Not that playoffs guy.
His son, and he's done a great job with the Huskies. I believe they're an independent. They've played an independent schedule, and 7-3. That's a great season for them.
Can I tell you quick? You know, we talked about Rocco Canale a couple of weeks back, and talked about his brush with Ed McMahon of fame. He was part of a Boston College team that was undefeated in 1942, and they had one final game to clinch a berth in the Sugar Bowl, and that was against Holy Cross.
And didn't they have a party set up?
They had a party set up later that night at the Coconut Grove in Boston. And Rocco, of course, had a stroke by the time I had talked to him, so his wife was sort of conveying the information to me about it. But they ended up losing to Holy Cross that afternoon. Big upset, 55-12 was the final score. So they ended up canceling the Sugar Bowl invitation party at the Coconut Grove.
And what a stroke of luck that was.
It was, because later that night, big fire at the Coconut Grove in Boston. Close to 500 people perished in the fire. The Boston College Eagles would have been, one of those groups that were part of that. So,
and who knows what?
Yeah. So when was a loss beneficial? It was for the Eagles that day against Holy Cross. So, man, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how things work out. And, for the Boston College Eagles, like you said, not a better loss for them ever.
Yep, and we mention that because Rocco Canale, of course, played at Watertown High School, later went on to play the line at Boston College, and legendary coach. And then later on, he coached the Red and Black for a year or two. So it's
came full circle.
He did come full circle. Well, that's it. That's all we got for you this week. Like I say, last week we were 4 for 4. How will it shake out this coming weekend? No matter what, we'll have highlights throughout the weekend of all the games. So
Friday night and Saturday.
That's right. Hey, thanks for being with us all season long. It's a flip of the coin. Whether or not we'll be here next week, we'll find out with you.